Welcome to Scrappy Systems, the Candid marketing showcase where we skip the fluff and get real about how solo founders, consultants, and creative misfits actually market themselves online. Every month, our host Cans and a special entrepreneur guest will unpack the messy, clever, and wildly human systems behind real business growth, so you can steal what works and leave the rest. Got questions? Good. Let's figure it out together in today's episode.
Okay. Good.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scrappy Systems Live. I'd like to welcome Kinsey. Hello. It's so lovely to have you here. Please, will you give us a little bit of an introduction to what you do and what you build?
My name is Kinsey. My business is Authentic AI, and I'm actually the host of two podcasts, the Authentic AI podcast and the Human First Founders podcast. And we basically help down to earth entrepreneurs, especially women, use AI tools in a way that can boost your productivity and help you in your business and life without sacrificing your authenticity or thought leadership or quality of work. Because I know that so many people are concerned about turning your brand into a robot or losing that quality of work that you want to put out into the world. And so there are ways that we can save time with AI tools and use them to boost productivity, get more done, find more freedom in our lives as well. I always like to say that, without sacrificing our authenticity. And that's what I teach, and that's how I help people.
I love that so much. And although I must say, sometimes it's lovely to know like the good things of how you help people, but I'm so curious, what are the pain points when people come to you? What are they often really struggling with?
A lot of times it's just the juggling of all the things, right? Women have to carry the load, not only in our business, but in our own lives, in our family life, our housework, our kids' schedules, all that different stuff. And so time management is a huge one. But then also, especially with women too, and using AI tools, a lot of times it's so funny. A lot of women will come to me feeling like they're cutting corners when using AI tools, or they feel guilty, or they're like, okay, if I use this tool, it's going to turn me into a bro brand or sacrifice that authenticity, that quality of work that I want to put out into the world, right? Like, and so that's like a shift that I have to make a lot of times too, or help other women make when it comes to embracing AI tools as well, is reminding us that this is a tool that we get to use to help us in our business and our lives, and not only to help us see more success as we want to see, but also actually help us get that leg up in our lives and find more wiggle room and freedom, which is a lot of times the reason that we started a business in the first place. And yeah, so it's really interesting sometimes to get over that hump of, oh my gosh, am I going to be judged for using AI tools, or am I not doing the work? You know what I mean? But definitely that's a struggle as well. And then, of course, the rocket emoji, the GD rocket emoji is always a hard struggle, or just like feeling like, how can I get my AI assistant to actually sound like me, to actually think like me, right? Whenever you start using AI tools, a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then you start using it and you're like, going back and forth with it. You feel like you're pulling teeth trying to get what the heck you want out of it. It's too cheesy. It's too professional. It's too whatever. It doesn't sound like me, right? And so that's one of the things with a branding and marketing background that I have. I love to nerd out about how you can legitimately train your AI assistant to think and sound like you, because that is one of those things that, like, once you train your AI assistant in the way that we're actually going to talk about today, man, the results can be so much better. And legitimately, like, my AI assistant, it feels like a human assistant that has been working with me for 5 years now, right? Like, it knows my business, like, sometimes better than me. We all have those days when we're in the middle of our business and swirling hive of ideas and tasks and all the things going on. And I'll be working with my AI assistant and it'll say something like, but remember, like, we do this, or what about this? Or it'll pull something in that I mentioned like a week ago. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Thanks for pulling me back down to reality or giving me that perspective or whatever it is, right? That's one of the issues that a lot of people have when using AI tools is not not knowing how to work with them where it's actually helpful, and it doesn't feel frustrating and feeling like you could have done it better if you just done it yourself. And yeah, we'll talk about that today, and that's a fun topic for sure.
Exactly. I think AI has such a great role to play in Scrappy systems when we take it and we actually integrate it into what we already have rather than trying to learn a whole new complicated how to build AI agents, for example, if that's not what you need. But let's dive a little bit deeper into that because I really want to know like your strongest system, which you speak about often. I think it's really something that would save sanity is like the best way I know how to describe it. So can you tell us a little bit about this system that I'm hinting at?
Yes. So the system Candace is talking about is called the AI Brand Blueprint. And legitimately, this is like what I have created to help us train our AI assistant to think and sound like you or like your business or brand, right? This is my solution that I've come up with to how to turn ChatGPT into your digital mini me or make it feel like it's this human assistant that's worked with you for 5 years and really understands your brand as well as you do. The AI brand blueprint is how you can deep dive train your AI assistant to understand all the things that it needs to know about your brand and your business and your strategies from the get-go in one click in 10 seconds so that then your AI assistant can hit the ground running, helping you to do all the tasks that it needs to do in your business, feeling like it's thinking the same way you are and can even write copy the same way you would write copy, right? I know that feeling of trying to go into ChatGPT and be like, write me an Instagram caption, and it gives you something that's pretty crappy, let's be honest. And then you go back and forth with it for 15 minutes trying to get it to give you what you're looking for, and it like doesn't happen, and you end up rewriting the whole thing anyway and like feeling like you wasted time, right? No, that was the problem. And so then I was like, how can I not only train my AI assistant in a deep way that's going deeper than just like writing a friendly tone of voice or this is my brand, help me with it kind of thing, right? No, training your AI assistant on all the things it needs to know about your brand in like a deep way, and then allowing it to do the work for you in a way that you would have done yourself anyway. That's what I always like to think about is like when I'm working with my AI assistant, we get to the same end result I would have gotten to, right? But we just get there way faster than I would have gotten there before. I did the nerdy math, you guys, and I've been saving, this is crazy. I've been saving an average of 3 hours a day, 15 hours a week, and 70 hours a month since using AI tools in my business for the past year. And I don't even know how to tell you how much more I've actually been able to accomplish and do in my business in the past year than I have in the previous 4 years before using AI tools. And at the same time, I'm not feeling the same creative drain that I always would. I haven't been pushing myself deep into burnout like I did on a yearly basis before using AI tools. And I've also been able to like actually legitimately start new hobbies. I have like new crafting hobbies. I'm making bead jewelry now, guys. Like, who am I? And take the weekends off and go rock climbing and do all the things. Like, yeah, AI tools have really changed my life and my business. And like this brand blueprint method we're about to talk about is like how I have really been able to use AI and do the work I would have been doing anyway without changing anything about my brand.
And what I really like about you specifically is your focus on it being authentic, but how do you balance that? I'm so curious. Like, how does AI show up in the system and how do you make sure it still feels authentic? Can you give us a little bit of a insight into how that happens?
Long story short, the brand blueprint is literally one single Google document that outlines what I call the 5 core strategies of my brand, right? So it outlines my brand's core identity, my mission, vision, values, beliefs, opinions, everything that kind of makes my brand who it is, right? It also deep dives into my ideal customers. So this is going deeper than just like demographics or lifestyle and psychographics and all that stuff, although that's included too. But we also really fully outline the pain points and the problems that I help my people overcome, and then also outline the desires and the dreams that we help them achieve. Just a full ideal customer blueprint inside that brand blueprint. That's the second core strategy. The third core strategy is, of course, your brand voice and writing style, which is so important for really getting your AI assistant to talk like you and write content that sounds like you. And so that is going deeper than just write in a friendly tone of voice. Oh no, you guys, I always like to use the word friendly as an example because if you think of the word friendly, there's an entire umbrella, there's an entire spectrum of what friendly could be, right? You could be like a bubbly friendly, or you could be like a kind-hearted friendly. There's so many nuances to descriptive personality words. And if you just say write in a friendly tone of voice, that's like the most generic descriptive personality word that you could use with ChatGPT. When it comes to brand voice and writing style, you really want to deep dive into what exactly your brand personality is. And there's lots of ways we can do that. And also really explore formatting style. Humor style is a huge one. If ChatGPT can understand your sense of humor, man, that gets it to write content that sounds like you so much better. Emoji usage is always an important one for ChatGPT to understand because it will go off the rails with emojis if you don't give it guidelines, right? So like the brand voice is the third strategy that we outline inside the brand blueprint. And man, that dives deep into getting ChatGPT to write content that sounds like you. And then I also outlined 2 other strategies. Firstly is my offer suite. So that's everything that your brand has to offer to your audience, including free resources and lead magnets for your email list, all the way up through your paid offers, and really outlining those, what they're all about, what they help people do inside a brand blueprint helps your brand blueprint to understand the strategy behind your entire offer system. And that not only helps with like big picture strategizing. So if I want to go to ChatGPT, I'm like, help me with my launch campaign, great. But it can also help with like small picture strategy where it's help me write an Instagram caption that naturally leads to a call to action for X freebie or this offer. I don't have to explain anything about my offers because ChatGPT already understands them within my brand blueprint. And then I also like to outline our messaging because of course, these are the themes that you want to become known for, the stuff that you talk about most often. This also includes your brand personal storytelling, which I think is so important for you to share with your AI assistant as well, because if it understands like the core, like the origin story of your brand and like how that came to be and like the different experiences that you've had, the lessons that you've learned, even your everyday anecdotes that you just love to share with your people, like that is also just so helpful for your AI assistant to understand. So I outline these 5 core strategies into a single Google document. I don't want to scare you guys. Mine is 80 pages, and I have a brand blueprint course. My students are usually bigger than 80 pages, which is great, but this is a deep dive into our brand's 5 core strategies. But the cool thing is that on average, my students complete their brand blueprint working with ChatGPT to outline this crazy document.
Yes, you have to. You have to. I knew you would
Oh no, you
entertain
could
it.
not. Can you another book? Like, like you're writing a book for your brand, but like it's awesome. You can do it in 4 hours. My students average completes this on 4 hours in 4 hours with the help of ChatGPT and the prompts that we walk through with it. And so, yeah, like when you have this crazy big document then that you've created, then you can just upload that document, one click, file upload to ChatGPT. You can use this with Claude, you can use this with Gemini, whatever tool you want to use. But like it can read that document in 10 seconds, understand everything about your brand. It's like a second brain for your brand, right? And then that immediately just gets you such better results from ChatGPT. I really don't have a lot of those moments anymore where I feel like ChatGPT just isn't getting me, right? Like, of course, whenever I'm working through it with it in my day to day, like there's moments where it just misses what I'm trying to tell it, but it doesn't usually miss the points I'm trying to make about my brand. And then when I come back, I'm like, oh no, actually, I meant this. It'll be like, oh yeah, duh, of course you meant that. And it understand like it's just so much easier to work with the tool when it's trained on your brand like that.
And also, I know you don't just use this for your brand, right? Like, what are the impacts you've seen on, because you work with other brands. I'm assuming you build these for your clients. What are the impacts you've seen in those regard, in that way?
If you work with other brands, especially if like you're a social media marketer, content creator, any sort of thing like that, blog, like you create blogs or emails, whatever you want to do, and or if you just work with brands in any way and you want to use an AI assistant to help you, like creating a brand blueprint for your client work is so helpful. I actually have several one-on-one content clients behind the scenes that I work with on a monthly basis. Yeah, I have a brand blueprint created for all of them. And I actually went a little even nerdier and I created brand bots for them. So there's custom GPTs. It's trained on their brand blueprint. And it's so nice. The custom GPTs, the brand blueprints that I use with my client work, it creates better content than I did before. So much faster because it can even understand my clients, the little nuances better than I could. We're working together on this content and I'm like giving it the prompts to have it create content. And then I'm, of course, doing the double checking and I'm shifting and I'm making sure all the links are correct and the tone is right and all that different stuff. And it's really nice for like content repurposing, then turning the blogs into Instagram posts and just all the different things. And then also, like, it truly helps me as a content creator as well. I don't know if anyone else out there works with like multiple brands and creating content, especially or anything like that, but like, my brain hurts like having to task switch and brand switch all the time. Like my brain like would be that's what I was talking about before when I said I didn't feel the creative drain that I used to. Like I love creating content for my brands. I love getting into my brand's heads and I seriously feel just so connected to all my clients because they're like, oh, I believe in your mission. I love you. I love creating content and it's tiring. It's like mentally draining to have to go from, okay, am I talking about my brand? I'm talking about their brand. Like, what are we talking about here? And just create, always be on. And ChatGPT working with that with my client work as well is really helpful in carrying that mental load and helping me to not feel the creative drain I used to. And also it helps me with that task switching where it's like I don't have to mentally switch as much myself as I used to with the help of ChatGPT. It like helps me switch. You know what I'm trying to say?
I really do. And I think that's the beauty in systems that like I really wish to teach to the world almost. Like that is why I want Scrappy Systems to exist, is that this is not something you started with on day one. This is something you have built up for yourself over time. And like with your knowledge in branding, with your knowledge in social media, and then also your AI knowledge to figure out how do you use these tools in these ways, like to have a system that now takes away the thinking work for you. And the thing is, it takes a deep understanding of your system to be able to automate it. So I think that's where a lot of people struggle is you can't just, I mean, you can go buy an AI bot somewhere, sure, go do it. But if you don't understand how that system works and it doesn't match your process and your workflow, then you're actually just like making a mess. You're just producing for the sake of it and it's not really targeted.
You are bringing up such a great point too, which is I don't think AI should do the thinking for you. I think it's a collaborative tool we can use to expand our own ideas, thoughts, opinions, beliefs. We can train it to think and sound like us from the get-go, and then it can help us carry that load. And that's where a lot of people get AI wrong often, is because they think it's this thinking tool and they think that they can just buy the bot, like you said, and it can do the things for them. And my brand, it's so funny. My brand values are like all A's, guys. Of course, there's authenticity, but also one of them is agency, like making sure that we maintain agency over our brands and like our systems and our workflows, and like understanding that we're working with this tool, but we're always the ones in control. And that's truly why I love the brand blueprint process. And actually, in my business, I call it a human first approach to AI. So, like in anything that I teach when it comes to AI tools, it's always going to be starting with the human first, bringing your own thoughts, ideas, opinions, workflows, processes to the tool first and telling it that, and then allowing the tool to help you in whatever way. And we do the same thing with the brand blueprint process, right? Could you buy a cookie cutter bot for like your industry type of business to help you with things? Sure, but that's how you get the generic results, right? So in the brand blueprint process, when we create your brand blueprint, we actually start with a brainstorm, right? I call it the brand brainstorm. It takes an hour. I'm like, guys, this is the hardest you're going to have to work. You are going to have to work throughout this entire course, right? After this, ChatGPT will take it and run with it, right? But like we start with this like brainstorm document where I just want you to get your own ideas out of your head and into this document about your brand. And it doesn't have to be pretty, it can be messy. But what we're looking for is getting your own original thoughts, ideas, language out of your head and on into a document that then we can share with ChatGPT, and it can help us like pretty it up, right? But starting with yourself, your knowledge, your language, your perspectives is like so important with whatever tasks you're using ChatGPT for.
100% human first. Start with the human. Okay, at that, Kinsey, I really want to go into my favorite strategy, or my favorite segment, steal the strategy. Because basically this is the one thing that everybody here can take home today and implement that can really level up their marketing systems. Can you tell us what that one thing is for you?
I think that just remembering that you can train AI on your own stuff is like so important. Whether that's just like opening up a new chat window and just like brain dumping for 2 minutes into the new chat window. This is what I'm thinking today, right? And telling it whatever you can think about your brand or the task at hand. Just giving it all the information first is always so helpful. And not allowing it to come up with the tips for you or come up with the things for you necessarily. Always remembering to use your own critical thinking skills. But before we hit record too, Candace and I were talking about one of the things I have been loving doing lately, which is creating custom GPTs for all my different things in my business, right? And this can be really helpful for getting ChatGPT to help you with those systems and workflows that you already have in place in your business all the time. So talking about the brand blueprint, you can totally just create a custom GPT. I like to call it bot besties or brand bots, right? I'm creating all these bot besties for my brand. But you could use your brand blueprint to train a custom GPT to just immediately understand your brand from the get-go. Using that brand blueprint as a knowledge-based training document with a custom GPT is so helpful. I also have custom GPTs that are trained on my podcast workflow. Oh man, you guys, this is so helpful for like podcasting because I don't know about you, but like the show notes are like the bane of my existence. I hate writing show notes so much. And with my podcasting bot bestie that I've created for Authentic AI, it's trained on how I interview, my style, my brand, and also how I like to write show notes, the formatting. I like to use weird stars instead of bullet points. Like it understands all this stuff and also understands like the types of quotes I'm looking for and all these different things. And literally I just upload my transcript from my podcast interviews into the podcast bot. It's trained on all this stuff already, and it like spits out everything I need that would have taken me like an hour before using this in 5 minutes, right? And so that is super, super cool. I also have a custom GPT that is trained to help me on the back end of my business. This is so dorky. It's for my AI Reels Club, this bot, okay, that I've trained. And I don't know why I decided to name her Promptin Patty, but she's a cowgirl.
You gotta have like alliteration. The alliteration just makes it
Promptin.
great.
Oh yeah. Okay. So my AI Reels Club custom bot Promptin Patty helps me create prompts and like Reels ideas for my AI Club prompt library. Is basically like a prompt library that helps you create Reels, hooks, and captions just like in 5 minutes for your brand. Because another bane of my existence is spending way too much time creating content that doesn't get any likes, right? So I'm like, how can I make this feel better? Promptin Patty helps me, and she helps me create prompts for my AI Reels Clubs members, and it's so easy to use, right? I didn't create a bot that was just like help me create reels like hooks. No, I trained her on like my specific way of creating reels hooks prompts along with the reels caption prompts. She also understands like exactly what the format of a new prompt for my AI Reels library is. So literally all I have to do now, and I've trained her on all this stuff. I figured it out myself beforehand. It took a while, but now I've automated it. And all I have to do is like I'm scrolling Instagram for inspiration. And guys, I'm so happy I can literally actually call it that. I'm like, I'm being productive as I'm scrolling Instagram. But I'm scrolling Instagram for inspiration and I see a real hook that I think is funny. And I'm like, ooh, this would be a great like kind of prompt for my AI Reels Club. I screenshot that AI Reels or that reel from Instagram. I screenshot it. I throw it into Promptin Patty. And I'm like, let's turn this into a prompt for the AI Reels Club. She turns it into a prompt for the AI Reels Club in 5 seconds. I'm like, oh, I love you, Promptin Patty.
I could see like why, because you build relationships with these AI bots and they really do save your life sometimes. And so wait, I have to know before we move on, like how do you know what to turn into a custom GPT? I think a lot of people get stuck. They're like, yeah, I'm going to custom GPT. And then they're like, I'm going to do, I don't know what. So how do you start there with that?
Yes, I love this. And actually, guys, I should have just mentioned too, I do have a custom GPT workshop that walks you through the entire process from brainstorming custom GPTs all the way through creating them with like my templates and prompts. And it makes it really easy. You can do it in an hour, sorry, 2 hours probably, because I actually make you do it during the workshop. But okay, so when it comes to creating a custom GPT for your workshop, for your business, I like to think about the different types of custom GPTs that you could create, right? You could create one for yourself for like back end processes to speed up everyday workflows that you do a lot. And I think that the regular systems and workflows that you already do regularly is like a good place to start. For example, my podcasting workflow, that's something that I do every week. It's very regulated. It's a system that I already have created. And all I have to do is train the custom GPT on the system, and it just helps me speed up the process. Same thing for my Promptin Patty. That's something that I do a lot, just randomly, but it's a system. It's a system. And it's really nice to have trained her on the system that I need. It's something that would have taken me 45 minutes before to just do myself for every prompt that I'm creating for the club. She can help me do that exact same thing in 5 minutes. So think about the systems that you already have in place in your own business and what you can help to speed up the process. You can also create custom GPTs for your clients or your team, right? I actually interviewed this woman from my podcast who she actually had her team members create their own custom GPTs for their own jobs within her business and stuff. And same thing for your clients. If you have client work, you can create custom GPTs that understand them and what you do for them to help you along in the process. You can also create custom GPTs for others to use, forward facing almost more so in your business. So like for your students to help them or for your affiliates. I created an authentic AI affiliate bot that has replaced my swipe copy. And also it not only can help replace swipe copy that like people don't really use that often, let's be honest. It can help to personalize swipe copy, but it can also help with strategizing and really with affiliate questions and stuff like that. An affiliate bot is so helpful for affiliates. And yeah, like I said, like student bots, or even just if you want to train it on a process that then you want to sell, you could sell your bots to people too and stuff. So there's different kind of strategies to think about. Remember that I think it should be like a regulated system, a system that you can teach it on versus just do anything in the world, right? It needs to have a purpose. And then also just always remembering who is going to be using this, right? Do I want this to be helpful to someone else that is going to be using this and applying this, or is this just something for myself to use? Is that helpful?
Very helpful. I couldn't have said it better. Well done. Thank you. And if anyone's going to be implementing that, please do a thumbs up. I'd love to know. I definitely love building custom bots. But it is now time for us to move into the what's in your Scrappy Stack portion of our podcast. Basically, I really want to know, actually, before we jump into the top three, I really want to know, what is one AI tool in your stack that actually people would be surprised that you used? Maybe it doesn't even have to be an AI tool, but what is one tool in your stack that surprises people?
Okay, maybe this one, because it's hard to. I have had to set boundaries with AI. I have AI tool boundaries because, especially as an AI person, it is so easy to get sucked into like thousands of dollars in subscriptions every month and forget like what even my tools are, right? One of the tools I have loved using lately, and it's so fun and it gets nerdy, is oh my gosh, what is it called? Oh, Kling AI. So I have loved using Kling for turning images into video. And it's been really fun for me for, especially I have a lot of AI images in my branding and stuff. So I have all these awesome robot women. And it's really fun to create them and turn them into mascots for my authentic AI stuff and whatnot.
It looks
That's
so
the thing.
cool on social media. I have to just say, it really looks so cool.
I have so much fun with my branding for authentic AI. But yeah, recently I started using Kling AI for turning the images into short videos. And actually, like video generation, AI generation is like getting way better, guys, lately, and it's improved so much over the past year, even. And it's been really fun to turn those little images into quick videos, and I'll use them as like backgrounds for like my website or little gifs on my email list or website and kind of thing. It just helps out add fun movement. And I think it just brings imagination into your brand in a way. But you could totally use them with your own photos too. I like to use them with my AI ladies because I'm like, they're not real people and I don't know what they look like. I've tried to use it for like my own photos, turn those into like videos. And so sometimes it does pretty good actually. But sometimes like you're like, I don't think that's what I look like kind of thing.
Anything with real people falls into that uncanny valley for me, and it just makes me feel very uncomfortable. That could be a whole other conversation though. But now, please, without further ado, will you please tell us what are the top three tools you could not live without in your business?
What could I not live without? So definitely ChatGPT is my kind of favorite go-to LLM model, which is just the AI tool that you chat back and forth with it. But there are a lot of other ones out there. I've heard a lot of good things about Claude, especially. But I just use ChatGPT and it works for me for a lot of different things, right? I also use Thrivecart is probably one of my favorite tools that I use for hosting my courses as well as selling my courses and selling offers and stuff like that. And I also use it for my affiliate program. And Thrivecart is great. It's not the most like streamlined or pretty platform for courses and the checkouts and the affiliate programs, and it still works really well. And I loved it because it's the one-time fee, right? And I don't have to pay a monthly subscription for Thrivecart, and it does all those things really well for me. So I'm like, okay, yes, Thrivecart is great. And then I also use just have to throw a little shout out to ConvertKit and Squarespace because that's where I do my email list and my website stuff. But I also definitely use Descript for like video editing and stuff. And that's so helpful for not only editing my podcast and then it like automatically creates social media clips for my podcast. I can just quickly, easily download the transcripts and all that different stuff. But then also it's really been helpful for my course videos as well. And I love using Descript to host my course videos, and I just embed them into my Thrivecart courses. But it's cool because Descript allows for live hosting of videos. And so we all know how much the AI world is changing all the time really quickly. And it's really like nice for me to be able to go in and update a video or edit a video real quick and just update it. And it's automatically updated in my course platform without any uploading, downloading. I don't even have to re-embed any embed links or anything like that.
I'm so glad you mentioned ConvertKit, to be honest, because I've always wondered how you host your newsletters, because often lots of newsletters, like you can tell, oh, this looks like copy paste from the newsletter that looks like it's from that brand. But your newsletters look very unique. So I like that ConvertKit shout out. Thank you very much. And one thing I want to know, are there any tools that you like really had to kick to the curb just because it just didn't quite work for you for what you needed?
Okay, I'm cracking up right now because I have badmouthed some tools in the past. And not like badmouth. I'm still from Indiana. I'm a Midwest girl. I cannot like badmouth things necessarily. And whenever I like am finally oh no, like this is not the tool, guys. Let's go with this tool. Then of course, like 6 months later, that tool updates and is way better. And then I'm having problems with the tool I'm recommending. And so I have trouble saying no, don't use a tool, because especially like all the tech tools are such in competition and they're always trying to outdo each other, and they're always, which is great because they're always improving, right? I used to not like Riverside. I have come back around somewhat to Riverside-ish, although I haven't tried it again, but I've just heard that it's gotten way better for like video recording and stuff. And then also at the same time, I used to use a software called Opus Clip instead of or alongside Descript to help me create social media clips and stuff from my podcasts. But Descript really improved its clip creation within its own software, so I didn't need Opus Clip anymore. So I was telling everyone, get rid of Opus Clip. But then, of course, through the grapevine, because I host a podcast about tools, everyone's, oh wait, Opus Clip has improved, or I love Opus Clip for this. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like my whole thought process with tools is, yeah, ask your friends for recommendations because they'll always tell you what's up, and also use what makes sense for you, right? Like Notion or Airtable, they essentially do the same thing, but what works better for your brain, and then also like just what you need, right? And like the different features and stuff, and also tools are always improving. So I always just like to and also remembering that you can set tech stack boundaries, right? So try to find a tool that's going to work for you. Don't feel like you need to test everyone under the sun before you make a decision. Just go with it and use that until it's not working or not doing what you need. And then ask your friends for recommendations and just keep going forward. And don't allow don't allow your tech stack to stop you from doing the thing you need to do. That's what I found a lot too. Sometimes with tech is like you turn tech into a form of procrastination in a way, or like it turns you into deer in headlights.
Yep.
Whereas I'm just like, let's do it. And that's what I love about Scrappy Systems, Candace, is you're all about just like being scrappy. Let's do this. Like you don't have to be perfect. It can be messy. And like just moving forward in that way with your tech stack is helpful too. Because then you won't have to be paying for thousands of dollars in subscriptions for tools that you can't even remember you signed up for.
I can't tell you, especially if you're neurodivergent or get distracted in any way and you meant to unsubscribe and you were just testing out that thing, those bills can be unexpected. And it's unnecessary school fees, really. You got to be careful.
Yeah, that's it.
I think this is a really good time to switch over to the flop or fix segment of tonight. Basically, that means we're going to be answering some audience questions, Kinsey. We have a question from Marcel. Do you have any suggestions to add or unique input or insights at scale using AI tools so content is more unique as opposed to just generating unique generic blogs? Or alternative suggestions to this that accomplishes the same goals of making content more unique?
I feel like just using that human first approach is like so helpful. And also the brand blueprint, right? Like training your AI assistant on your brand thoughts, opinions, beliefs first, and then getting it to do the thing you want it to do is like how I have found to get the most unique on brand results from the get-go. And then you don't have to worry about like it being generic or if you're copying anyone else or anything like that. No, you're starting with yourself and then you're collaborating with the AI tool in the process, going back and forth with it to be like, oh no, actually, this is what I think. Like always remembering to keep your critical thinking hat on while you're using the tool. Anything ChatGPT throws my way, I always remember to think like, how do I feel about this? Is this a tip I would have shared, or what tips would I share for this? Or is this the perspective I would take? Like, for example, whenever I talk about social media marketing and especially creating content on Instagram and stuff, like I have always taken the eye roll approach to Instagram, I call it, where I'm like, no, let's make this platform work for us. Let's not get caught up in the trendy trends and like the algorithm hacks and stuff like that. No, let's just start with us and create content that makes sense for us, right? And like, whatever, that's my perspective of Instagram marketing. If I would just go to ChatGPT and be like, write me a post about Instagram marketing or help me come up with ideas about Instagram marketing, and I didn't tell it my perspective, the ideas it would generate for me would not be aligned with like my own perspective and how I teach it and stuff like that. So like just remembering that like you have your own perspective and ChatGPT wants to help you with that, but you have to tell it that first is so helpful. And then also another way that's like really great for creating content that gets your perspective and understands you and is using your language is literally starting with your own stuff, your own examples of content, or your own podcast transcripts, or just like your own brain dump about a blog topic, right? Starting with that and then having ChatGPT take that and turn that into the blog, the Instagram post, all that stuff. That's actually how I create content for my clients every month. Is yes, I have my brand bots created that are trained on their brands and ideal customers and how and the content that we're creating for them and stuff like that. And I usually start with quick brain dump from them on the topic of the month, so I can make sure I'm getting their tips and their perspective. Or one of my clients does a lot of talking head kind of reels videos and stuff like that. So I will start with one of her talking head videos that she creates. I'll take that transcript, I'll throw it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT turns that into the blog. And that's helpful too, because then ChatGPT can understand not just their perspective, but also the language that they use. And that's how you get it to stop using the power words and start talking like you talk, right? And yeah, that has been so helpful. And I'm honestly like really proud. It's been a process, guys. Like the like me creating my client content with ChatGPT did not start well, right? And thankfully, I have awesome clients who are like understanding and helped me to tweak the content and make sure that we're on board and it's all aligned and stuff. But when I first started creating content for my clients with the help of ChatGPT, like for sure it was using the power words and all that different stuff. And also my clients have little things that they don't want, right? I have to get rid of the M dashes for all my clients and all my content that ChatGPT creates for them, because they're like, please just, I love the content ChatGPT is creating, but that M dash is distracting and overused, right? So I'll create a blog with ChatGPT with using this process of taking their transcript. It turns into a blog post. It does a great job, actually. And I specifically say, use their language. Make sure you're using their perspective, right? And then it turns into a blog. And then I like go in and delete the M dashes because ChatGPT will not stop using even if you ask. There's like little things about AI that like it will never stop doing. And you just have to get over it, right? That's when we're scrappy.
And the worst is if you tell it not to do it, then it's like a 3-year-old is, I'm going to do it even more now.
My ChatGPT trolls me with the rocket emoji every day now. I feel like we've had this discussion where it's like, I'm like, don't use the rocket emoji. And then 5 responses later, it'll be like, add a little rocket emoji and then in parentheses be like, hey, except without the rocket emoji because we don't like that. I'm like, just don't use it.
I love that answer. We've actually got quite a few questions coming in. One offline is the way your products link are very clever, almost systemized. How do you systemize your product design?
Okay, systemize. Ooh, I love that question. I don't think anyone has ever asked me that, and thank you. Okay, so I think when it comes to honestly, my approach to creating offers is thinking about the steps in the process, right? And also what do I need the most help with? And what is like that thing that I need to do first in order to then open myself up to more space, more availability to do all the other things, or like to get AI to do a better work for me and stuff. So legitimately, I start with my two main problems, right? So my two main problems, and most of my audience is very similar to me, which is so great because then I can just create stuff for myself and share it with my friends too, and they love it as well. So like my first thing, my biggest two problems were training my AI assistant on my brand in a way that makes it super easy to do, to one click train it, and like it hits their learning and knowing everything about my brand, right? So that's where the AI brand blueprint came in. And then my other biggest problem was Instagram reels and like staying consistent and creating content without feeling all of the emotions that get wrapped up in showing up online for your brand. And I'll be honest, I have always loved showing up on Instagram. It's been my jam, but I do get caught up in the posters paralysis, like feeling, should I post this? And then it doesn't perform well. And then I get my feelings hurt, even though it had nothing to do with the post usually. And then like also it used to take me forever to write an Instagram caption. I love writing. I really do, but I labor over every word. I'm not very ashamed to admit, somewhat ashamed to admit that writing an Instagram caption used to take me upwards of an hour for every freaking caption. And it would drive me crazy internally because I'd be like, why do I waste all of this time writing this Instagram caption that like no one sees anyway?
Because the whole time in your head, you're like, is that good? Could I write that better? Should that be okay? Was that word the right word? ChatGPT cuts out that self-doubt in between every line.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like with AI, I have, and especially the system I've developed because I'm super picky, but I'm like a word nerd. I'm picky with the way I write things and stuff, and like my personality and like how I portray that online, whatever. So with ChatGPT trained on like my brand and how I write captions and stuff, like it has now allowed me to literally create reels. I make it as easy on myself as possible within 5 minutes because of the way that like I use the prompts together and then scrolling for inspiration, screenshot, upload to ChatGPT. It pops out a reel for my brand in 5 minutes. It's so great. And that has allowed me to just save so much time. So I'm showing up consistently on Instagram. And also, I don't know, having ChatGPT as like a creative partner takes that mindset set stuff out of it, right? Like now when my posts flop, which let's be honest, like usually we like look at posts within 5 minutes and we're like, no one's liked it. And we're like, oh, it's flopped. But like I found more that my posts actually don't flop. I just haven't given it enough time to get out into the world. Using ChatGPT has kind of helped me with the mindset stuff of Instagram as well. So anyway, now I'm going on a tangent about my offers, but I think that literally just for me connecting my offers, I just try to think through the logical next steps of, okay, what are the two biggest problems I'm solving? Okay, after we've solved those, what's the next problem that I could solve? Or what's the next thing that I would want to do? And just be super logical about it. And it is easy for me because, again, my audience is very similar to me. And so I can think like that. But yeah, logic plays like a great role. And then also just testing things out and seeing what my audience is interested in and stuff.
I definitely think you're a masterclass in like creating your own systems and then selling them because other people need them, and it's just like genius. And also it also feels so authentic because it is what you use. You're not selling systems that you wouldn't use. It really speaks immediately to that. But before we run out of time, I want to ask one more question. For people who are new to AI and feeling overwhelmed, what's the actual first step you'd recommend?
The actual first step I'd recommend. Okay, there's a bunch of AI scaries that run through our brain, right? Whenever we first start hearing about AI tools, you could think that you're not techie enough to use these tools. You could think that you're so behind when they're moving so fast. You could think that you're cutting corners and feel like you might be judged for using these tools. You could feel like this was actually my biggest AI scary when I first heard about the tools, is thinking that it might make the internet and our world faker than it already is, and also deplete our creativity and critical thinking skills. That was a huge one for me. Or you could just be afraid that like robots are going to take over the world, or have ethical issues about all the AI tools, which is a thing as well. And I can totally talk more about that with you later if you want. But I think really identifying, okay, why am I feeling hesitant about these tools? Because I'll be honest, when I first heard about AI tools, I like to say I was a total curmudgeon about them. I use like in my presentations, when I do presentations, I use this meme of Mr. Wilson from Dennis the Menace. Do you guys remember that 90s movie? And like the old man, he's grumpy because I felt like that. Like when I heard about it, I was like, this is going to make the internet fake enough, like faker. What's this going to do? Like I was grumpy about it, right? Then I had one of those long drive epiphanies. I was on a long drive. I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, AI tools are here. And like I'm feeling grumpy about them because I'm afraid, right? I'm afraid of the change that this is going to bring, of what this will mean to our culture, society, our future. And I was like, okay, instead of like just being like against AI tools, it's going to be more productive to turn toward them and get curious about how can I use these tools in a way that's going to work for me, in a way that aligns with me, right? So I had one of those moments where like I adjust my AI scaries. And honestly, once I started using the tools, I realized, man, actually, AI tools can expand our creativity. They can help us practice our critical thinking skills on the daily. They truly can help us save time, and we don't have to turn our brands into robots using these tools. And also, if you have any issues with cutting corners or feeling like you'll be judged or the ethical issues, I have mindset shifts for those too. But just remembering that these are tools that can allow us to live the life we want to live and see the success we want to see is so helpful. So once you're over those initial humps and hesitations and realize, okay, actually AI tools are pretty easy to use. I just have to try it, right? What I would do is open up ChatGPT, chatgpt.com. You can start a free account. The free version is very easy to use. It's like AOL Messenger back in the day, guy. You like get on AOL Messenger, dial up, look and see if your middle school crush was online or not, and then maybe try to send them a hello. That's what you have to do to ChatGPT, right? So you open up a new chat window, you say, hey, my name is Kinsey. I help down-to-earth entrepreneurs use AI tools without sacrificing your authenticity. You just tell it like 2 sentences about your brand and literally hit enter. And ChatGPT will come back and be like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you, because it loves its users. It's going to make you feel so seen and awesome. And it'll just say, here's how I can help you. What do you think we should do? And like literally just send one message to ChatGPT and it will come up with ideas for how it can help you. Talk to it as if you were talking to a human. Try to get over like the hump of thinking, oh, this is a robot. If you think about it as like a friend, that you're literally just having a chat back and forth with AOL Messenger, or if you think about it as your business coach, or if you think about it as your therapist and you can complain to it about life, which I do often as well. But talk to it as if you're talking to a human. Don't worry about being professional or having complete sentences even or correct spelling. No, just talk to it how you would a human. And then have that conversation back and forth, and it'll tell you what it can help you with. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kinsey. I really appreciate you, and it's always lovely to talk to you. So thank you for spending time with us tonight and giving us a peek behind the curtain on your Scrappy systems. Before you go, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about what you're working on at the moment and where they can find you online?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I love chatting with you every time too. This has been so fun. Yeah, so I know Candace dropped the LinkedIn. I go on LinkedIn sometimes, guys, but if you send me a message, I probably will respond like 3 months later. So just be aware of that. I usually hang out on Instagram instead. I have 2 accounts over there actually. AI.Kinsey is one of them, and then Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs is the other Instagram account. You can send me a DM over there. I will respond to you and I'll follow you and cheer you on, because I love like stalking my followers too and just like responding to your stories and stuff. And yeah, like I have a course, AI Brand Blueprint, which I'm pretty sure Candace dropped the link in the chat. So if you want to create your own brand blueprint to use with your AI assistant, and get it can be used with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, any system that really has a file upload feature can read it really easily and hit the ground running doing work for your brand. It takes about 4 hours. And actually, it's so funny. Okay, I'm trying to decide if I should really like double down on this kind of messaging, because a lot of my students have told me that the course has made them cry, but in a good way. Because the whole process of working through your creating your brand blueprint document and working through those strategies and having like your thoughts and opinions reflected back to you is like really like meaningful often. So not only is it like helping create this training document for ChatGPT, but then you have this whole brand strategy outlined and you have more clarity on your own brand and you feel more seen. And I don't know why I brought that up, but like it's really funny.
I think it very much makes branding accessible to people who otherwise would not maybe have understood branding. I feel the same way about AI and art. Like, I think there's like really important conversations to be had, but AI does create access, especially for those of us who may not have all the tech, all the best money for tech.
Accessibility is huge with AI tools. And that's another thing I love to remember too. Like, especially with AI ethical conversations and stuff, is remembering that this is a tool that can be helpful for so many people in so many ways. And like tools can be used in like negative ways or have negative impacts, but they can also be so positive and so helpful. And like the more people who just start embracing using these tools, then like the more people can shape the future that we want to see with these tools. And yeah, the accessibility thing is like so huge. And that's why I get like on my soapbox when people are judging people for using AI tools. I'm like, guys, let's not be judging each other for making our lives easier.
You should ask them if they take their kids to school on horseback.
Or someone said that to me the other day too. I had someone say it's if you were going to a party and people were mad at you for driving your car to a party that was like 10 miles away. Yeah, no, but we're evolving, guys. And like evolution comes with growing pains and it also comes with a lot of opportunity.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kinsey. Thank you, everybody. That is a wrap on tonight. Join us for next month's free Scrappy Systems event. We'll be having Marissa Krause, who is a powerhouse on content marketing. She'll be sharing her tips as well. So thank you, everybody. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your evening.